Model Making Guru is sponsored by emodels.co.uk. Make something awesome.
I've been trying to record this bit for about half an hour now, and some chud outside is letting off fireworks. It goes quiet, and then every time I start recording, they kick off again. So I'm just going to go ahead and record this bit because I really need to get this done. I can't be messing about. I've got stuff to do, so you'll have to put up with the firework noises. Hello everyone, it's Fox from modelmakingguru.com here. Welcome to the next exciting instalment of my build of DeAgostini Collectibles Build Your Own Ford GT, a legend of the competition. Yes, it's actually the Ford GT40, but they can't call it that for copyright. This is my Partwork build. I'm building up a 1/8 scale Ford GT40. If you're not familiar with Partworks, basically you subscribe to them every month. You get a set number of magazines, in this case 5, and with each magazine comes a few parts, and over the course of the Partwork, over the months, you build up whatever it is you're building. In this case, the Ford GT, it might be a plane, it might be a boat, or a different kind of car. I've done a few, but there's lots of different Partworks out there. This is for the Ford GT40. Now, I do have to say, to start with, disclaimer, DeAgostini Collectibles do provide this Partwork to me free of charge, gratis, and at no cost. So big thank you to them. They don't, however, have any say in the creative process. Everything I say is my own opinion. They've got no say in what I film and what I do. So if something's good, I'll tell you. If something's bad, I'll tell you as well. But yes, we're going to be cracking on this video with issues 58 to 62. I have gone ahead and done a little bit of the work in issue 58 because it's stuff we've already done. But then once that's out of the way, we'll crack on. So far in issue 58, it does have you building or finishing the build of the spare wheel and mounting the tyre on it and then mounting it into the bodywork. So I've gone ahead and done the building of the wheel bit because you've seen me build a wheel before, and I demonstrated in the last video how to get the tyre on. So that has been done. That's all there. So what we need to do now is go ahead and start stonking this in. Stonking? That's not the right word at all. Slapping this into the actual chassis and applying the wheel brackets and the belts that hold it in place. So I'll go and get everything ready. I'll go and bring the build so far so we can get it mounted in, and then we'll crack on. Okay, so issue 58 starts with you building the wheel, which, as I said, I've done. So what we need to do first is mount the wheel into the body. This is where we are so far. You've got the chassis and everything there, and that is held in place with an FP04 screw, which I shall put in there. Now, rather annoyingly, there go the fireworks. On the photograph, it does show that whoever's made the wheel has lined up the Firestone logo with the bars of the wheel there perfectly. Now, when you try and put these tyres on, it's a ham-fisted fight to get the tyre on. I really tried to get it lined up so it would all be nice and that, but it's not. So I'm afraid for me, this is as good as it gets. It's not quite lined up. There's a little bit of OCD in me that's like, no, it needs to be light, but no, this is as good as it gets, I'm afraid. So I'll make sure that's in firmly. That is now secured in place. I'll probably tweak it a little bit to make it straight because I'm at an angle here, I can't quite see it. Now that's in. So now we need to sort out the straps. Fireworks are still going. Anyway, this step now, we need to get this rather lovely spare wheel harness screwed into place. It's all fabric. Now, one thing I will say is in the actual magazine, it shows there being a big yellow logo on this belt, on each of these belts. That's not on here, which is a bit disappointing. There's the same logo on the seat belts. It should show the same logo, but it's not there. So whether I've just got one of a batch where it wasn't printed, maybe, or maybe they're just not doing that, I don't know. So it's a bit disappointing, but it doesn't really matter. So these need to go onto the wheel, and what we need to do is have 2 at the top there. These will screw, each of these ones has a metal bit on the end, and you see there's a hole for a screw there. These screw into the side walls of this bay here, and the bottom one screws into a little hole in the floor of the car. I need my tweezers. Where's my tweezers? Where are my tweezers? There they are. So I need to sort of finagle this over to there. It's got to go on top of some of my cables. So that's going to sit on there. Apologies if you see the back of my head or the back of my hand. I'll straighten that up in a minute. So that's going to sit on there. I'll get a screw ready and we'll kind of just kajiggle it. We'll persuade it to go in. It's one of those things where you've got to do 16 things at once with 8 different pairs of hands. So yes, let's tell you what, let's move this cable out of the way first. You just go there, cable. It's difficult because there's nothing to actually hold this piece of metal in place while I'm putting the screw in. There's that. No, and it's pinged off. Of course it's pinged off. Of course it's pinged off. Right. I may need to just do this off camera. This rubber tube is getting in the way. Right, there's that. If I could do that with my left hand, it would be a lot easier, but I can't. So let's put that there. Screwdriver in my left hand, which is rubbish because I'm right-handed. See if we can do this. Probably not. No, I can't do it with my left hand. And all the while, there's fireworks doing my beaning going off in the background. Happy birthday now, shut up. Right, can we get that screwdriver through the tweezers? Yes. Huge success. Right, so that's not lined up straight, but I'll sort that in a second. Now there is a right way round for these because there is, you'll see on these threads here, there is the sort of seam underneath there. So make sure you get these the right way around. So I'm just going to push this down a bit more. The rubber hose pipe for the radiator is getting in the way, but that's fine. So this screws down. Doesn't need to be super tight for this, it just needs to hold the metal plate in place. It's not a structural load bearing joint or critical or anything like that. It's still a little bit loose anyway, but that's fine. A bit more. I have to just pull it up and then back down again. But the metal plate will go lower because it's going to go on the little stick, so there we go. And that is now in. So that's that bit in. You need to do the same with the two on the side. And given how much fun that was, I'll go off and do that. When we come back, we'll move on to the next step. If there is one, that could be the end of this magazine. I'm not sure yet. Back in a minute. And yes, as I thought, issue 58, that is the end of that issue. So we'll move on to the next one in a second. Before we do though, I'm not that impressed with this seatbelt system for the wheel. In the photographs, it looks like a nice taut, tight restraint system on the wheel, and it's got the Sabelt or Saybelt, I don't know how you pronounce it, logo on the belts. In reality, it's just kind of flippy floppy. It doesn't really, it's not very tight. There's no way to tension it. It's not the end of the world, but it just seems a bit, it's a bit lackluster. It looks a lot better in the photographs. Anyway, that's that bit done. We'll move on now. I think we're doing parts of the gearbox next. I'm not quite sure, or the clutch. But anyway, we'll move on to issue 59. Okay, issue 58 next, and it's very simple, but there is a little bit of a lingering doubt about one of the bits about it. And sometimes this happens in a part where there's something that's not quite explained in the instructions, and you never know if you're doing something wrong. But anyway, we need to make the Rotoflex gearbox couplings. And to do that, we have to do two of these. We simply get these two black pieces. Now note that one of these has a peg there, and this one has an hole there. These two need to go like that. So the peg goes into the hole. And you need to make sure that those three holes are completely see-through, because you're going to put something through there. If you do it the wrong way around, then one of these will be filled up, and you don't want that. Now please note that on this side, you have these little bits here. There, there, and there, little nipple things. On this side, you have two and a hollow one. Now I suspect this is just because you've got the pin on the other side. That's where the pin goes in. But this is where the lingering doubt comes in. So stick with me here. I made an executive decision. So what I do is I take the side with the three sticky up bits. You slot that in there. Then on this side, you simply apply this piece. And they're marked left and right. You've got to make two. I've done the other one. And this just quite simply goes onto the three silver parts of that other bit, like that. And then you hold that in place with 3 FPO2 screws. So I'll get these in and I'll tell you what the little concern is for mine. Fireworks have stopped now, thank goodness. Although it is like 9 o'clock at night now, so yes. Get this one in. Now the reason I have a little concern is with that little hole. because I suspect it's just happens to be a hole. It's not got any particular functional purpose. But you never know with the Partwork, which is why I didn't glue in some of them cables earlier on when I was doing the radiator, because you never know later on what you're going to have to put in where or attach to what. And Murphy's Law would be that that's a hole for something to go into later that you don't know about. But So anyway, if you look at the photographs in the magazine, I've got both of these now. On none of the pictures is it obvious whether this bit here is got the one with the 3 nipples or the one with the 2 nipples in the hole. It's not obvious in the photographs at all because it's all black. So I've kind of bitten the bullet, and I have simply made sure that the bit with the hole is underneath. It's under there, in the hope that there's not a cable later on that has to feed into that hole. Because if there is, and it's supposed to feed into the top, if the hole's supposed to be in the top, I'll have to take the whole gearbox apart and rebuild all this. But it doesn't say anything in the instructions, and it's not evident or clear on the picture. So I've just had to guess. It looks a bit weird with a hole, so I've assumed that having the 3 rivets is the bit where it is the way around it's supposed to go. I don't know for sure. If you can see the hole in that one there, the hole there. I don't know for sure. I could be completely wrong. I could have dropped the testicle there. I don't know. But without any information to the contrary, I ain't got a choice really. So I have made that decision. That's annoying me now. It's the wrong way around. I have made that decision and will live by that decision, I guess. Anyway, that's those 2 bits done, and that is issue 58. So we'll move on now to issue 59 and try not to worry about this in the future. Issue 60 now, and another super simple one. We've got half of the transmission block here, a nice big chunk of metal, and all we're going to do is apply one of the couplings that we made a minute ago onto this. We need to make sure it's the left one. You can tell by the L on there. And you've got 3 holes: big hole, little hole, cardboard box, and there you've got big post, little post, cardboard box. So make sure that goes that way around. That's an old 1990s Manchester clubbing joke. Never mind. So that sits on there, and then that's held in place with one FP01 screw. It's going into plastic, so no need for any oil or any of that nonsense. Just screw that in. Nice and tight. And then if we have to undo all this because that hole and the thing needs to be the other way around, that's where I'm now going to have to take it all apart again. Yay. So that is issue 60. Next up is issue 70. Can you guess what we're going to be doing? Yes, exactly the same on the other side. We've got the other side of the transmission there. Big hole, little hole, cardboard box. And we've got the right coupling, which has got the R on it for right. Big post, little post, cardboard box. Just go that way around. And we hold that in place with another FP01 screw. Screwing in now. It's actually harder to use a screwdriver when you've got gloves on, but there you go. So that is now 2 halves of the transmission, and that concludes issue whatever that was, 69, 70. So is it 70? I've forgotten now. Whatever number it was, it's a number. On to the next one. It was issue 61 because this is issue 62. Yes, I'm good with numbers. I know numbers. Right, more transmission work. This time we're going to take the right side of the transmission, R, and we're going to attach the transmission case cover. Transmission case cover? Transmission, I don't know what these things are. Transmission case control lever, which locks into here like that. Give it a goodly push, and that is held in place with an FP01 because it's going into plastic. So of course with the shaky hands, no oil needed because it's going into the plastic component. We'll put that bit on there like that. There we go, nice and tight. Okay, next we need to take this bad boy, the words, get my words out. Next up we need to take the transmission case upper cover and put it onto the right side of the transmission. However, it does say right side of the transmission in the magazine, but that's the left side. And when it said left side on the other one, and that's got the R on it for right side. So I think I'm hoping they printed it wrong in the magazine. Either way, this is the only side with these 2 holes on the top. And that needs to sit in there like that. And those are held in place with 2 FP01 screws, which is tricky because it's kind of in a way of itself. So yes, I think it may have misprinted that, perhaps. Might be a slight misprint. I hope it is. Either they've got the part wrong or they've got the name of the part wrong in the magazine. More likely they've got a misprint. So we'll get these 2 screws in. see what the next step is. Sticking with the same part of the transmission, we now have the transmission case rear cover, which simply slots on the end there, like that. With a bit of a balancing act, that needs to go in place with an FD01 screw because it's going into metal. I've got a tiny touch of oil on there just to hold that in, so that just needs to be screwed down. It's quite a long way down. It's got a lot of turning and turning to do. There we go. Almost there. I want to make this nice and tight because it's still got some play in it. There we go. So that's the rear of the transmission on now. Lovely. On to the next step. Alrighty, and the last step is to bring the two halves of the transmission together. You need to just make sure they go together nice. It's a bit tricky to get them to click into place, but they will if you just jiggle them around a bit. A bit of persuading to be done. Go on, you can do it. Go on. Get in the hole. Get in the hole. Make sure all the pegs line up. Lining up metal parts is always a little bit tricky because, like a plastic part, you can bend the pegs into place, but it's a metal part. Yes, and then these are held in place there, there, and there. Those three parts with 3 FD01 screws. Of course, because it's going into metal, little touch of little touch of oil on the screw just to make it go in a bit easier. And there you go, the transmission's now assembled, and that's actually the end of this issue and this pack. Now, word of advice, as is kind of the standard with any metal components where it's two halves that you squish together, you might find they are a little bit tight to push together. And if you don't get them exactly locked in and as tight as they can be, the screws might not go in. And you'll be like, oh, why don't the screw go in? Is the screw knackered? Is my screwdriver knackered? You might even thread the screw head. I didn't do that, but, you know, be careful. So when you put this together, you'll probably find that one end will go in like that, and this end might be a bit open. So just get yourself a pair of pliers and just squeeze those two halves together. It's very easy. It's quite a gentle grip and it'll squeeze together. Squeeze them together and then your screws should seat properly. This end's not so bad, but as long as you get these two in, then this end will just click into place quite nicely. But yeah, if it's sticking out a bit, just get some pliers and just force it together. Otherwise, you're never going to get the screws to go in and they won't seat properly. But that's now done. And like I say, that is the end of this issue. So we are finished. Big massive thank you as always. We're not finished obviously, it's not a complete car yet, but we're finished for this pack. Big massive thank you as always to DeAgostini Collectibles for making this possible. Like I said, they do provide this to me free of charge at no cost to me. They have no say in what I do with it, but they are providing it free of charge. A big massive thank you to them and to you, my supporters, who make this possible. I do this for a living. This is my only source of income, and if you'd like to make it possible for me to keep doing this and making videos and doing content and stuff, I am planning on coming back to the painting. Don't worry about that. Then please consider becoming a patron or a channel member. If you're not one already, you can go to patreon.com/modelmakingguru and support me that way, or you can press the join button underneath any of my videos and become a channel member and support me that way. But either way, you're helping keep the channel alive. I will see you next time very soon for the next pack, probably the next few days. But until then, thank you very much for watching. Take care of yourselves. Go make something awesome. Go be awesome. Good you are. And until then, adios amoebas.